All right, good afternoon, lovely people. This is the webinar video 2 Lightning Learning Series Introduction to Nearpod by me, Jessica Robinson. All right, so I'm turning this one into an asynchronous webinar session. Please make sure to watch the video and answer the embedded questions. All right, so I am also going to be linking to a student-paced version of this lesson. And you don't need to write anything down on paper. All you need to do is click on this Notes tab in the top right corner and use one of these three functions, either send via email, save it to your Google Drive, or save it to your OneDrive. And a copy of this Nearpod lesson and all of the notes that you take will be saved to whichever function you chose. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip the introductory activities and go straight to our learning objectives. We've got three. In order for us to be successful with this session, you'll be able to recognize the benefits of using Nearpod with your students, and we'll also be able to do a couple of modeling and practice objectives such as logging into a Nearpod account, finding a lesson to use, and launching the lesson either in live or student-paced mode. Now, if you were with me in my Pear Deck session, Nearpod is kind of like the beefy brother. So you know how Pear Deck was added to your Google Slide presentations? Well, Nearpod is its own platform. It does have its own Google extension as well, but Nearpod has a lot more activities and videos than Pear Deck does. Okay. We are going to skip the poll. Um, you can answer that on your own later. But let's talk about what exactly is Nearpod. So in our case, Nearpod is a platform and it allows you to make your lessons engaging by embedding interactive lessons, videos, and formative assessments. So we just got to clear out one thing. Remember that Nearpod is an engagement tool. It's not necessarily used as an assessment tool. You can use it for formative assessment, but not so much for summative. Okay. All right, and let's go ahead and, well, I'm not going to play this. You can play this on your own with your self-paced lesson. So in this video, I'm going through a couple of things through our workflow. So first, I'm going to show you how to sign on to Nearpod and then show you what your dashboard will look like. And then I will introduce you to the Nearpod library. The Nearpod library is great because it's got a lot of standards aligned pre-made lessons for every level and every subject. And it's actually, like I said, a lot beefier than your Pear Deck if you attended that session with me. So to get to Nearpod, let's go ahead and open a new tab and type in nearpod.com. And this is what your dashboard will look like. Since I've already signed in, it takes me straight into my library. So over here on the left side, you will see the Nearpod panel with all the links that you can access. In the middle of the page, you can create folders to organize all of the lessons that you've created in Nearpod or you've downloaded as well. So that's where this lessons linked is. And to find a lesson, a pre-made lesson, you can use any of the Nearpod programs, or you can scroll down to the Nearpod content. So by clicking on the magnifying glass, that's Nearpod library link. Let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, it's very extensive. So, it's nearing back to school, so there's a lot of exciting new material. We've got lots of back to school lessons. We've got lessons for special holidays. And we've also got some Nearpod VR. That's pretty exciting. Some virtual reality field trips that you can use. And excuse me, if you also look back on your left side panel over here, they've also have it categorized by topic. So there's a lot of pre-made lessons on digital citizenship and literacy for college and career exploration, for historical perspectives in literacy for SEL, social and emotional learning. And it also comes with the vocabulary video pack. And vocabulary videos are fun. They're great ways to inject music into our learning there. Have you ever had one of those earworms where you just can't get songs out of your head? So, take that. And I know I'm dating myself here, but you remember those cartoons, like Schoolhouse Rock, right? And it's all educational content, but it's in song format. So vocabulary videos are just like that, very catchy, and it actually really helps you remember the content. So let's go on back to Nearpod Library here, and let's talk about how we can find a lesson. So you can type in a topic in the search bar. You can filter the videos by standards, which is awesome. And you can further use the filters to narrow down your choices. So I'm a former science teacher. One of the videos I'd like to use, or lessons I'd like to use at the beginning of the school year, would probably be on science lab safety. So let's see if we can find that. Science lab safety. All right, and then here you go. You got over 1,000 results in the different varieties here for lesson, activity, and video. So I am looking for a lesson, so we're going to click on that. And I can further filter it down or narrow it down by selecting my subjects and selecting my grades. So I taught middle school. I'm going to click on the range of 6, 7, and 8. And sources, I will click on Nearpod Library. Okay, so here in the results are all of the video lessons that fit into that. And so I think I will select the biology lab safety review. And by hovering over it, it gives you a summary. You can click on the preview to look through it. Or if you already know that you want to use it, you could add it to your lessons. And you can access it by going back to your lessons link right here in the panel. So you can click on preview, and this is what it looks like. This is kind of the point of view I was showing earlier, since I did not use a live mode or student mode on my lessons. So what I was showing to you before was something I created on Google Slide Deck, and then I imported it and used Nearpod activities in it. So here you can see the different slides. And usually a lot of the lessons have a lot of slides, and you can definitely edit it to the needs of your students. So you can either just add it to your lessons if you don't want to use it right now, but you do want to bookmark it. You can teach it right now so you can send it for live participation, which means this is instructor paced. You're at the front of the room and the students are following along and participating on their one-to-one devices, or you can assign it as student paced so that students can do this on their own time, on their own devices, either now or later on when they have the time. And you can edit the lesson if you want to personalize it or add more information in it. And this is what it will look like when you edit that lesson. So let's go over some of the icons in the menu bar. So it looks kind of like how we make Google Slides, right? So all of your slides are on the left side panel here. When you click Add New, you can add a bunch of things. And that's really the nice thing about Nearpod here, because there's so much interactivity that you can add to engage your learners. So you can add slides, you can add slideshow, Sway, which is kind of an interactive website. You can upload slides. So just like what I did, I had a pre-made Google slide deck of my own. You can add like PDFs, images, and audios. Now the fun part would be the create well, that's the create part, but interactive, because you've got not only videos or web content, but you can add a vocabulary video, you can add a BBC video. So those are for science and social studies classes. If you got a long period or a block period, you could intersect your lesson with brain breaks at different times of Nearpod 3D. So I love this one as a science teacher because you can add 3D models in here. Same thing with the simulations and then field trips. Other things you can add in would be your activities. So you can add a multiple choice quiz. They can draw, they can fill in the blank. They can do match it memory games. And Time to Climb is their interactive gamified version of the multiple choice quiz here. They can do drag and drop and matching pairs, very similar to the memory test here. If you're want to have a discussion with your class, you can add in a collaborate board, or you can integrate Flip, or formerly known as Flipgrid, so that they can take a video themselves and respond to your prompts. You can add in a poll, or you can add in an open-ended question. And finally, if you're a math teacher, you can also throw in some math manipulatives. Okay, so you can select that and then add here. I don't really want to edit this lesson per se, so I'm just going to go ahead and say save and exit. All right. So that's how we do that. So we went into the Nearpod library, we looked for a lesson, and we filtered it out by using some of the filters up here. Let's go back and let's show you how to filter by standard. So again, I'm going to be looking for science lesson. And if you know your standard, you could just go straight to that by clicking on this button. All right, so um, I'm using the next generation science standards, but you can use, if you're a different subject or subject, then you can use the Common Core or the National Curriculum Standards for Social Studies, or you could scroll down to New York and select your subject, select your grade. Oops, I didn't do that. Let's say, I don't know, ELA, Language Arts. And let's go for 7th grade, which is right in the middle. And what's your strand here? So let's look for textual evidence. Okay, so all of these would be the result of you using your filter by standards option. I'm going to try this again with a science lesson because I am more familiar with that. So let's do NGSS, science. Let's take 7th grade again. And let's go down to life science. Excuse me, and characteristics of life, MSLS1-1. So let's see what shows up with that. All right, there you go. We got kingdoms of life, cell theory. And so I want to further narrow it down by lesson. Awesome. So I've got a cell theory introduction lesson here, and it's for grades 6 through 8. If I hover over it, here's the summary, and I can go ahead and add that to my lessons as well. Okay. All right. So, before that, I do want to show you the Teacher Resources Hub as well. Let's go down over here. So you have all of these content that you can explore. Let's say that we have one of those half days and you don't want to be off pace with your curriculum guide, because you'll only see maybe 2 out of the 4 classes, right? Or 2 out of the 4 periods. So you can go and jump in onto Nearpod and then look through the other content here that they could still work on. Digital citizenship is always a great lesson, to share with the students. And it's nice because Nearpod itself has its own digital citizenship curriculum. You could always do a SEL learning or do one of those just community builders, that's available here on Nearpod. But what I was trying to do was show you their teacher resources. And so that if you're playing around with Nearpod and you forgot something and you couldn't find any of my links to help you out, you can go down over here as well, and it will open up a new tab for you. And here you can look for live webinars for training. These will give you CTLE credit. Just make sure that you register and get that certificate. You can click on the getting started videos and it will give you some how-to tutorials. And they also have a complete YouTube channel which you could sort through and look for different videos on how to do different things on Nearpod. There's some teacher and admin resources here. There's a blog for you to read. And there's also a great community. They have a Facebook group. I'm not on that, but I'm pretty sure that it is just as vibrant and dynamic as all the other Facebook ed tech communities that I'm on. All right, so let's get rid of that and let's come on back and let's talk about how to launch a lesson. So let's say that you found the lesson you want to teach, you've gone ahead and edited or customized it. And so there's a couple things that we can do with that. I'll go back to my slide deck here. And there is actually 3 ways that you can do to launch a lesson. So you can do live participation. Like I said before, it can be teacher facilitated or instructor mode. You can use student paced, and that's for independent learning. So maybe you want students to complete it for homework. And there's also a third option where if you have a video, you can play that video and it'll show on your projector screen, and it will pause at different times and the students answer or participate in the discussion through the embedded questions or activities in that video. So let's go on back to my Nearpod page here and let's launch. Let me go to my lessons. Okay, so here, oh, already I saved it twice. So these are the 2 lessons that I've saved from the library. Um, I want to go talk about biology lab safety. So I don't to do live participation. You just simply click on that, and then kind of like Pear Deck, this join code will pop up. It will prompt students to type in join.nearpod.com on their tabs, and then once they're in, they could use their single sign-on, or sign in, and then just put in this join code, and then they can, and then they're right in there. So, and then you will see how many of the students are already loaded in your class. Okay. You could also have the option to add in a co-teacher if you have a co-teacher or a teaching assistant in your classroom and you want them to have a copy and they're able to see the students' responses as well in real time. You can do that. You can toggle that on and then copy this link and email it to them or put it to them through your AIM or Messenger. You can also embed this into your Google Classroom, or if you're in a hybrid setting, you can copy your link and then put that into the chat. Okay, so that would be live learning. Let me go back. Yes, yes, I do want to leave this session right now. And then if you want to assign this as student homework or as an independent activity for students, you can select student pays. And here it prompts the students again to log into the particular website. It gives them the join code. And then there's also a deadline. So this is for how long this is open for your students. And then it will close itself out after Saturday, September the 23rd. And then you can hop in at any time and view the progress and see where your students are. Now, there's also an option for you to toggle this feature on where since it is student paced, the students can't skip any questions. They have to complete them all. So they can watch the video. There's a video in there. There's some activities in there. They just can't skip it and then tell you that they're done. They by having this feature on, they have to finish everything. They have to be able to type in answers or, record themselves or whatever activities you embedded in there, and then they'll be able to submit it as completed. And same thing, you can take the link or you can email to your students or you could send it out to your Google Classroom if you have one. All right. I did talk about a third function or feature here, and that is for the video. So you won't see that unless you have a video saved in your lessons. So I went ahead and looked for an interactive video, and I thought this one was pretty fun. 4 secrets from sports psychology that you can use. So that's what I like about Nearpod is, there's always some activity or useful content that you can use. What if you have the state exams, right? And your students are sitting in the room waiting for transitioning to a different classroom. So, and you've got what, 10 minutes left, you can throw in an interactive video. So here, when you have a video in your library, the third function shows up and that says front of class. So when you click on that, it will ask you, do you want to turn this on to interactive mode? Yes, I do. And what it'll do, let me move this guy out the way for you, is as it's playing, it will stop at different points in the video and ask students questions or ask them to participate in an activity, and they will be able to do that through their device. So this is like that Ed puzzle that we talked about if you attended that session with me. So rather than you having to make your own video, Nearpod already has that done for you. So let me just play this for a few seconds so you can see what this looks like. All right. So the question pops up here, how do you think sports psychology can apply to your life? And then students are asked to type in their answers in their response. I don't have anyone right now, so can't really see the questions, what it looks like for the teacher, but hopefully you'll be able to see that. It's very similar to Pear Deck as well when you're running the lessons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hopefully exit out of this interactive video. Video quality. All right, maybe not. Let's see if I can get out of here. All right, so it ended and let's close out of it. Yes, let's exit. All right, so we signed on to Nearpod. I showed you how to find the Nearpod library. I showed you how to find a lesson by using filter by standards, by searching for the topic using the search bar over here, and also by using the filter to narrow down your choices. I showed you where to find additional resources through the Teacher Resources Hub. And then last but not least, we talked about how to launch a lesson. 3 ways is instructor mode, student mode, or an interactive video that's projected on your smartboard or at the front of the room, and students are answering questions in their device. The last thing I want to share with you is the quick launch feature. So quick launch is nice in case you didn't have anything prepped, or you had an idea spur of the moment and you wanted to capture that data, right? So by logging into your Nearpod account, quick launch is right up here next to your avatar. It's got that little rocket icon right there. So when you click on Quick Launch, you got 3 options. You can ask an open-ended question. So for me, this would be, let's say, a bell ringer or a do now, a daily do now, or maybe even a social emotional check question. This is something I would use at the beginning of the classroom or beginning of the class, I meant. Um, I don't know. For those who've taken my sessions before, you know I like to ask what's the good news. So maybe uh, that would be my prompt, right? And then you can add an image. You can record yourself reading the instructions out loud for your E&L students. You can attach a PDF maybe right after they write their good news. You want to launch them into a reading activity, so you've got that ready to go. Maybe you have a video if you're teaching science and you have a phenomenon video you want to share, or a website that you want to launch with them. You could do any of that. Let's play around with the image. And let's find a good news clip art. All right, these are good ones. I like the confetti one, so let's go ahead and save that. Okay, and very much like the Edpuzzle platform, you can also turn on the option to have your students record their answers instead of typing. And that's nice, you know, because we always have those students who take a really long time because they're doing the hunt and peck method on the keyboard, or they are very self-conscious or shy about their spelling. So giving them the option to just verbally give their answers to you is very nice to kind of keep that participation and that I would say yeah, to keep the mojo going, right? If you want to add a timer, especially if this is a bell ringer and you say, all right, guys, on the board, join right in. You've got about, let's see, 3 minutes to share your good news. And then you could add that timer. And then when you click launch it, it will play on the screen for them. Oops, where did my thing go? All right, so that's how you would like have that. So you're greeting your students at the door, and then you just tell them, hey, take a look at the board, sign in onto Nearpod, use the join code, and answer the bell ringer. So that's one way I would use the quick launch open-ended question. Okay, let's go back to, I will resume it later, yes. Let's go back to the other function here, quick launch, collaborate board. So maybe you're starting a new unit, right? And you're using a KWL chart. What do you already know about the subject? What do you want to learn about the subject? What are you curious about? And at the end of the lesson, what did you learn from the lesson, right? So you can do that by creating a collaborate board topic. So I could do a KW board on, I don't know, cells. Okay, so whatever topic that you have, and then just write in a short description and say, what do you already know or want to know about cells? What have you learned about cells today? Okay, so you can just make sure you bring them back if you're doing it in this way. All right, so we've got a few things here. I like to use the grid function to kind of organize. If you got 25 or more kids, it gets a little messy with all the post-it, digital post-it note responses that they have here. So I like to organize it by grid. If you have multiple questions that you want them to answer, then I would say use the column. So it would create columns for you. So in column 1, I will change that to, oops, yes, column 2 and column 3. So let's see if we can edit that. Hmm. All right, probably not. Pretty sure you can. All right, so add an image, same thing as the open-ended question. Let's just add in, I don't know, cells. See if they have something on cells here. They do. All right, let's add some red blood cells in there. All right, what do you already know about cells? And there is a way for you to customize these guys over here. You can rewrite this for what do you want to know, what do you already know, what do you want to know, and what have you learned. But right now, for some reason, it's not working on my screen. All right, Now over here, we got some student options. Okay, I usually like to keep this off. Students can see names. I want to keep it anonymous. I think the students feel a lot safer when their names aren't blaring on the board for everyone to see. It just gives them a little bit more freedom knowing that their responses are anonymous. Um, I also have student can edit responses turned off. And it really depends on your class culture here, whether you want your students to be able to comment on other students, or or if you want to have that off and you want to be able to approve student comments before it is shown publicly on the board. So usually I have it on. We usually do a digital citizenship before using digital tools online. And then I like to encourage students when they finish early to go back and read their uh, classmates' posts and give it a like to show the love, and then to, give it some constructive feedback if they feel that it needs more support. But it's totally up to you and your classes and how that goes. And the media types, I mean, you can keep this on, but it's really just how you and your students are, how comfortable you are with them and their class culture. You can give them the option to answer in images. They can record a short video themselves. They can record their answers verbally, or they can respond in GIFs as well. So I like to keep this on because I think that's the fun, engaging part. But obviously, we gotta have that conversation with students about using appropriate um, pictures or GIFs, or using tools appropriately when in class. Okay, so here the students have their options. They could type their answers down here, add their images, record themselves with these two icons, and then they can drop down and select which column they are answering. So that's really important because some students don't see that and they're trying to figure out why their post is not going to the right section. And then click on the airplane icon here. All right. So let's see. Let's make this live. Let's click launch. Okay, and then same thing. Join nearpod.com. They type in their join code and then they will start answering that. So that is the quick launch with the collaborate board. So let's get out of here. And I do believe there's one more timer. The timer's just there, and you guys probably have other things like classroom screen or just Google Timer, right? But it's nice to know that you have it up there. So that is it in a nutshell. Nearpod went over about 10 minutes in this video, but that's okay. Here's the Nearpod support website if you should need support with anything. This is my email and this is my Twitter/X account. Feel free to add and DM me if you've got any questions. Thank you. Have a good one.